Hello and welcome to Horror Movie Talk, the horror movie podcast where two schlubby guys talk about spoopy movies with your hosts, Bryce Hanson, the cool collected nihilist, and David Day, an angry man who is always right. This podcast is for lovers of horror movies, old and new, that want to hear about what's in theaters, what's streaming, fresh takes on old classics, and terrible horror movies that are bad enough to be good. I'm Bryce Hanson.
And I'm David Day.
Thank you for joining us today. Please check us out on our website at horrormovietalk.com. Like us on Facebook and subscribe to us on your favorite podcast platform. All the links are on our website.
We're on pretty much all of them.
Today we are going to be talk about the... Fuck. That's staying in. That's staying in.
Can we talk about... You didn't even miss a beat. You just like, today we're going to be talk. And then you looked at me when I was wheezing. You looked like, the fuck, man? Why are you laughing at me?
All right. Okay.
Yay.
We'll be talking about The Evil Within.
A dream is a story I tell myself, right?
Yeah, that's a good way of saying it, I guess.
Well, if it's a story I tell me, how can I trick myself?
You think someone else is telling you these stories?
It has to be.
Someone like...
I control your dreams. I can handle the nightmares. You haven't yet had a nightmare.
What are you hiding? Why are you lying?
We have to stop the nightmares. We have to fix our brain.
Oh, wow. Bad dreams, buddy?
How can you stay awake all night? Mirror I hate, Dennis, and I'm gonna break the mirror right now! Hey, John!
There's a crime in progress.
When you're sleeping at night, I'm the one who whispers in your ear.
So, The Evil Within is the first and only film from writer-director Andrew Getty. The film follows a mentally handicapped 30-year-old man named Dennis and his brother caretaker, John. Dennis is haunted by his dreams, where a nefarious presence, played by Michael Berryman, seeks to torture and ultimately possess him. The nightmares quickly become reality as the evil presence communicates to Dennis in his waking hours through his reflection in a creepy antique mirror that his brother John has thrust upon him. His manipulative reflection quickly instructs the befuddled protagonist to commit heinous acts to escape from his nightmares and show the world that he is smarter than they think. What did you think about The Evil Within?
So, I found this by just kind of like searching. I think I like typed in horror movie into Amazon. And this came up with, like, decent ratings. I mean, nothing crazy, just kind of average. But the trailer looked so interesting to me because it had stop motion and it had, like, practical effects. So I was excited for it. And upon watching it, I quickly realized that this was a rather low-budget movie that looked and sounded a little bit like a low-budget movie, straight-to-streaming or straight-to-video movie. And so that gave me pause, but this movie, it delivered reliably, and it kept my interest the whole way through. I was interested. It was fun. It was funny. It was alarming and disturbing, and I really liked it.
Yeah, I think for me,
it wasn't like a fantastic movie,
right,
but it was surprising how good it was.
Right. I think for me, it was the Nicolas Cage of movies, where it simultaneously is terrible and great at the same time. And so it's hard to say where you land. The good stuff definitely balances out the bad. There's a lot of bad stuff, but there's also a lot of good.
In a charming way.
Yeah, in an independent movie type of way. I disagree. I didn't think it seemed low budget to me. I thought, wow, this has a lot more budget than it deserves necessarily. They pulled off some effects that are really impressive.
Yeah, stuff that I haven't seen recently.
Right.
I just haven't seen this stuff really.
I think in IMDb it said it had a budget of about $6 million, which isn't insignificant for a horror movie, especially when some horror movies are doing found footage and it probably takes less than $1 million.
Unfriended Dark Web, less or about $1 million.
Right.
And this had $6 million.
Yeah. What you take away is it's a truly interesting movie, and the director had a unique vision, and you'd have to appreciate that, even though some stuff just did not work. The script was bad. The script was very bad.
Oh.
The acting was good.
I disagree.
For what it was.
I disagree. I think...
Well, I mean, I guess the plot...
And it's
the
okay.
The plot wasn't bad. The writing wasn't good.
The writing wasn't good if it wasn't pulled off well.
Yeah, the acting really helped out the writing a lot.
Dennis, the main character, who is mentally handicapped young man, an excellent actor.
Right.
Very good. He has some chops.
Yeah.
And he did... Like, that's not an easy role to play, you know?
I mean,
and to play well. And he did it reliably, well, and was the best part of the whole movie.
Yeah.
Easy.
I mean, the bad parts, to me, anytime that... Well, we can get into this later, what the bad parts are. But what rating would you give this on a scale of 1 to 10? So the rating system, and we'll come up with a more slick way of putting this out there. Rating system: 1 is the worst, 10 is the best, 5 is average.
Average, serviceable, normal.
Yeah.
Anything up from 5 is, it impressed me. It impressed me. It was
has to be
engaging and entertaining this much more than a 5.
Yeah, it has to be pull off some aspect of the movie much better than an average horror movie, or it has to be innovative, bringing new stuff to the game. 10 would be an absolute best horror movie of all time.
Yeah, a breakout of the genre into just a stellar film.
1 would be the absolute worst. Like, you can't even have fun making fun of it with friends. It just sucks your soul and is an absolute source of misery. 2 to 4 would be it's just bad. They didn't pull it off well, but maybe there's redeeming qualities about it that you can appreciate or at least make fun of. Have fun making
every
fun,
step
making
down.
fun of it.
Yeah. Okay, so with that all being said, the rating I would give this, I give it like almost no. I guess I go 6.5. Because it was just it surprised me so much in a lot of different ways. Yeah, I'm going to go with that.
Yeah, I gave it like a straight up 5.
You did a straight 5.
Like I said, like it's the Nicolas Cage of movies.
That's fair.
It's balanced. The bad parts are outweighed by are perfectly balanced by the good by the good parts.
Yeah, that's fair. It felt so charming to me. It holds a little bit of like a fond memory almost for me. So that's where the 6.5 comes from.
Me. I think also a higher rating. I don't know. It almost deserves a 6 just because I know I'll think about it later.
I will think about this movie a decent amount, not because it's terribly scary or a great example of horror, but because it's a unique little gem.
Yeah.
That stands out in ways that I rarely have seen any movie stand out.
So let's get into spoilers.
Ooh.
We're going to get into spoiler territory, going over the plot and spoilers. So yeah, let's just go over the plot of the movie. Probably the most interesting part of the trailer is it's very obvious that the main character is mentally handicapped, and he's also the one doing the killing.
Yeah.
So lots of treacherous ground. It could be a complete train wreck in terms of tastefulness,
PC-ness.
Yeah, and
it steps
humor.
It steps
unintentional humor is could be rife with this plot.
Yeah, and they don't tread lightly on saying the word retard, on around all of the subject matter.
You think I'm retarded?
Around all the subject matter that comes with a mental handicap, they don't tread lightly on it. But it at no point does it reach a fevered pitch of head smacking or make you very, very uncomfortable. At least me. I'm sure there are plenty of people out there who would be more than happy to be very offended by this movie just based on the premise that it touches on the word retard a lot and steps all over the hardships of a person with a mental handicap.
Right.
You think I'm retarded?
No, Dennis, you're the good and bad guy in this movie. I like you.
The rundown of the movie, so it starts out with a very pretentious narration in kind of a David Lynchian dreamscape.
Yeah, very David Lynch.
And that was the part that tipped me off to this is not a super low budget movie, because they have this full carnival out
in the salt flats.
On location on salt flats, and either the person is a carny and has access to those, or they paid a lot of money to get someone to bring them out and get that location.
Yeah.
That narration, super big words, just very, very pretentious writing, and that's what tipped me off to make my bold prediction for the ending, which we'll get to in a segment later that we call
Bryce Called It. This is going to get very annoying, by the way. Bryce Called It is going to be a very annoying segment.
Yeah.
Because now you're going to be laser focused on making bold predictions.
Uh-huh.
And either that's going to go very well and it's going to be annoying because you're right all the time, or it's going to go very poorly and it's going to be annoying because you're just incessant with it.
Well, it's the best because
you're bashing it into my head all the time.
No, it's the best because it's confirmation bias. We'll never do the bit if I'm wrong.
Oh,
and I'll just sound like an absolute genius every time. But so far, I'm 2 out of 2. So far from the last 2.
I'll figure out a way.
And
to make
this one's the most impressive. Listen to the end of the podcast to learn the exciting prediction.
This is. And by the way, you gotta hear. You really do gotta hear what Bryce called on this, because it was called. Within the first 10 minutes of the movie, he called a very vague, like, just an out of nowhere kind of thing. Like it wasn't something. It wasn't a generic thing that you could call with the movie. It was very specific, and he had a firm premise for it that turned out to be true. Once we learned, like, who made the movie, and once the movie unraveled,
let's not oversell.
Okay,
so anyways,
don't
this dreamscape and very pretentious writing describing asking questions about the nature of reality and dreams and all this stuff, and then it devolves into actually pretty disturbing imagery of this. I think the character's name in the script is called Cadaver, which is played by Michael Berryman, a perennial horror movie face.
Spook face.
He's got a congenital disease where he doesn't have any hair, doesn't have any sweat glands.
Got a bumpy head.
Got a really bumpy head. So he's one of the mutant bikers in Weird Science. He
looks kind of like Toxie, the Toxic Avenger.
Right, yeah. So they got him all made up to be a dead body. And it's in the trailer too, but he installs a zipper on the back of Dennis's back, unzips it, and climbs into his body.
Yeah, it
all
was
done through stop motion and special effects that were very visceral. Very effective.
Yeah, it was a visceral situation that played out in a way that made me extremely uncomfortable. And so it's like turn a body into a suit, unzip that suit, and then like climb into someone else. Oh, it was not. It was kind of Nightmare on Elm Street-esque in some ways.
Yeah, so the voice of the narrator describes that now, you can't tell his dreams from his wakeful state, and, he woke up where he was dreaming. It's just very, you're run-of-the-mill, where does reality begin?
Right.
And then it goes to him and his brother's girlfriend eating a picnic where this is said.
You're gonna have to get used to the way I speak out loud. My inner voice is considerably more sophisticated. John, this chicken was good, but we didn't bring any ice cream.
Serious tone, serious subject matter, and then my inner voice is very sophisticated, but my outer voice, not so much. Take a listen.
John, this chicken is pretty good, but it doesn't have ice cream.
How do we bring the ice cream?
So that's the introduction to the character of Dennis and the reveal that he's mentally handicapped.
Yeah, it was a great reveal.
Not super subtle. And I'm pretty sure that was intentional. I mean, that had to be intentionally funny.
It had to be intentional because there were plenty of moments like that were like, that would set your expectations up and then dash them quite expertly. It would just be like, oh, this is serious. And then it would just come at you with some line that was fucking ridiculous. and it would catch you off guard so well that you had to laugh.
Yeah.
Every time.
Yeah. It had some great moments that can only be in bad horror movies.
Yeah.
Were in this movie that made it great.
Yeah.
I've got a couple clips that we'll play later. But so it begins like that, revealed that Dennis is mentally handicapped. The main characters are Dennis, his brother John, and John's girlfriend Lydia. Next, we're taken back to their house, and John gives Dennis a present that he is not enthused about. It's a super creepy antique mirror. Standing mirror. And Dennis throws a fit because John moved some of his
habit trail
for his hamsters. And
I wish we had more hamster talk in that movie.
Yeah.
To be honest with you.
Yeah, I know.
I feel like
hamsters were just out of there after the first scene.
Dude had like the bitchinest hamster trail or habit trail system. Like, the kind that you dreamt of as a child when looking at the habit trail box.
So I don't even know what habit trails were. It's the tubes that hamsters climb through.
You got, and they're they have like all different. They have the big one. It was like Lego sets kind of,
right?
But for hamsters. And he had one that like went around his whole room. Super cool. I wanted that I think every kid who had a hamster wanted that.
Yeah. So Dennis was upset that John had to move some of his stuff or move some stuff out of his room, but John insisted on having the mirror in there because reasons. And it really tied the room together.
And they're trying to
Big
sell.
Lebowski, and they're trying to rent out the house or sell it or something. I don't know. Not. They needed the mirror there, so that they said, "Here's a mirror here, Dennis."
You really pulled
stop throwing a fit. This is an integral to the plot of this movie that you don't know about.
Yeah,
and
Dennis warmed up to that mirror quick.
Very quickly, Dennis's reflection starts talking to him through the mirror. The plot of the movie revolves around the reflection getting more power over Dennis and getting him to do eviler and eviler things.
Right, and I think the premise there is the corpse that climbed into his body during his dreams had control over him a little bit and was making him look into the mirror where they could talk back and forth to each other.
Yeah, when I was going over clips of the movie to pull, I forgot, and it was to the movie's credit, it was a good idea. At the beginning, when he starts talking to his reflection, the reflection is also mentally handicapped. The reflection, he's able to,
be himself
and have more complex thoughts about what was going on, but it was told through the retard voice. And then it turned into him talking normally and being kind of a nefarious version of Dennis.
Yeah, as soon as the
getting him
dude climbed into him, then he became sophisticated, Dennis, within his head.
When he climbed into him.
Well, when he unzipped him and climbs into him.
Well, that's the first thing. That's before the mirror.
Oh, I'm sorry. I have this out of order in my head.
Anyways, the reflection asks him to first kill animals because that'll show that Dennis understands that the social constructs of society don't matter and that he understands that, so they'll see that he's smart. And so
he desperately wants to be smart.
Yeah, smash cut to a large cooler full of dead animals. Like, they don't waste any time.
Which I appreciate.
Yeah.
It did not get mired down, it didn't get bogged down in the actions. It just was like, here's some fucked up shit this guy did, and a cooler to prove it.
Yeah, and so
full of Pomeranians.
By that point, the reflection is speaking in a normal cadence and is very much more insistent and tells him that now he needs to kill...
Kids are next.
Kids.
Yeah. Let's get that kid down the street. He's a pretty good one.
Smash cut to another cooler full of children.
Yeah.
And then the reflection, it's just free game. At some point, the reflection jumps through. He gets Dennis to put the mirror against another mirror to make like the infinite
mirror
reflection. And then he jumps through and pushes Dennis into the dark place.
Yeah. So, and the insinuation there is now Dennis is the one trapped inside the nefarious dudes.
Yeah.
Now his body is the nefarious dudes, and Dennis is trapped within his psyche.
And the nefarious dude just is free game. Switched. He starts murdering everyone, including like Dennis's crush at the ice cream place.
Yeah,
and
kills everybody. Eventually, at the end of the movie, everyone is dead.
Right.
It is full retard.
Yeah. So yeah, it's a gradual, sequential process for the possession of Dennis. And actually at one point the evil presence says something to the effect of, I've been called Legion in the past, which is a reference to, if you don't know, I mean you should know if you're a fan of horror movies, but Legion
or Marvel Comics
is like the biblical story of probably the most famous biblical possession story.
Right.
Where Jesus comes up to a guy and says, "Who are you?" And the guy says, "We are many. We are legion." And then Jesus banishes the demon into a herd of swine, and then this herd of swine jump off a cliff, which is probably the most metal.
Yeah, it's pretty fucking metal.
Gospel story.
God damn, dude, making pigs leap off cliffs. I mean, that's a nod to Pig Destroyer right there.
Right. So that's what's happening. That's the most important part of the movie. And then meanwhile, the boring part of the movie is John and his girlfriend having relationship issues and being completely clueless to what's going on.
Yes.
With Dennis. Even though Dennis is...
They were pretty busy going out to dinner. Hey, Dennis, you gonna be okay? Can we go out to dinner, buddy? I'm fine! Everything's fine! Don't look at these coolers. Okay, bud, we'll see you later.
I'll show you later. And at which point, at the very end of the movie, they're like, "Hey, where is everyone? Everyone's kind of dead." Here's a clip where they come up on a coffee shop and they actually recognize someone that they know.
This is John, the brother, and Lydia, his girlfriend, and they're like, "Oh man, where is everybody?"
Yeah.
Hey. Hi, John, Lydia. What's going on? Oh, you're a little bit excited, and it's creeping me out, man.
It's just really good to see you.
Yeah, super to see you guys.
No, you don't understand, man. You're the first familiar face that we've seen all day. It's just really Twilight Zone-ish.
Okay. Oh, John, I've got Dennis's books on tape here.
Yeah. So
okay.
That guy is my favorite person in the entire movie.
Yeah, by far.
Because
he was fabulous. Because he played it like a guy who was asked to be in a bad movie, and he didn't want to be in the bad movie,
right.
And he played it like a guy who didn't want to be in a bad movie.
Any script that contains the word, it's Twilight Zone-ish, doesn't deserve the respect of a great performance, but the actors do a really serviceable job. But that guy is probably the best, most highlighting performance of the movie.
It was great.
Okay.
Oh, right. What? like he's it's almost like he's taking a highlighter to the most awkward part of the movie and then going, yeah, this is awkward and I'm here? Why? What's happening?
Later, so part of the subplot is John notices a stench in the basement where Dennis is working, and he's assuming woodworking because he hears woodworking sounds.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, but in reality, Dennis has taken up taxidermy to preserve the Pomeranians, cats, small children, adults, and everyone else who you see in this movie.
So it reeks in the basement, and John doesn't know why, and Dennis won't let him go into the secret prohibition area, secret hiding spot where he's doing all his work. So it's going to be a big surprise. And John finds a bunch of books about taxidermy, and he's like, what the fuck is Dennis doing?
What are you doing with his taxidermy books, Dennis?
Stop asking questions.
Stop it. Hey, no, you can't come down here. You got your own office. Why don't I have my own office? I'll show you my woodworking stuff later. We'll talk about this later.
The scene where he meets this guy at the coffee shop, it's it's very confusing, but what they were trying to do was say, oh, those weren't Dennis's books. There was a mix-up. He got someone else's books. Dennis obviously doesn't want to,
learn about
taxidermy. And they mention a specific name. Oh, it's not Dennis, it's Chuck. But I don't think we even know who Chuck is.
Yeah, we don't know who Chuck is. It was one of those things about...
And I don't know why this guy would be a library book broker.
Yeah. Oh, I got those books you were asking for from the library? Yeah, I got that, that VIP library pass, So
anyways, John was very relieved that Dennis wasn't learning taxidermy, even though it's pretty obvious that, from the dead flesh stench that he probably is. Anyways, he goes back to coffee shop guy, and the coffee shop guy goes like, oh no, he's learning about taxidermy.
Yeah, dude's into taxidermy.
And then here's the other, this is probably my favorite clip from the movie, bar none. Two of the greatest quotes
is the
from,
dude,
from
this
coffee
is,
shop
This
guy.
is the library broker.
Don't worry about that smell in your basement. It's dead animals.
Taxi! Pete, you gotta call the cops.
I don't want to.
You gotta call the cops. And I don't want to. Hey, no. I my time's up in this movie. I'm done.
Yeah. So first of all, don't worry about that stench. That's just dead animals. Like, okay. So, anyways, that was the reveal after he showed him that it was his taxidermy books, and then of course,
I don't want to.
Which is the greatest response to call the cops in a movie ever.
It wasn't like okay or right away. It was just what? No, and it was very in character because the guy's just cagey as all hell.
Yeah. I mean, that's the basics of,
Yeah,
of the
that's the
plot, and then
basics.
what happens in the end. Oh yeah, there's also an element of John trying to decide whether he needs to put Dennis in a mental institution or mental hospital because his girlfriend doesn't really want to live and have the drama of.
It should be noted. Yeah, I'm sorry. Continue. Finish this thought.
Of having a mentally handicapped brother and doesn't think John is capable of, spending the time and giving him the care that he needs, and that it'll probably be better for Dennis to be cared for.
But he doesn't want to send him to a facility because he feels responsible for Dennis's mental state because, in fact, he knocked the retard into Dennis.
It's revealed that John got mad at Dennis.
Yeah, they
or
were having a
something?
fight as kids.
Yeah.
They were having a fight as little kids.
First off, like, it's revealed that Dennis was actually a savant. Or not
right.
savant.
So
he was like a
before
genius.
the accident.
Yeah, before the accident, he was that pretentious voice from the narrator at the beginning of the movie.
Right.
He was super smart, like way ahead of his class, and he was like certified genius. And then at some point, they get in an argument, and John hits him over the head with a bat, and Dennis falls down the stairs.
He clocks him good. And Dennis receives a brain injury from it.
Right. And now he's mentally handicapped.
Yeah.
So John is responsible for that, and so he feels a lot of guilt, and he doesn't want to. He feels like he owes Dennis a lot.
Yeah. Understandable.
So that brings us to the end of the movie.
Do we give away the actual end of the movie? I feel like we probably shouldn't do that.
No, we are. We will. We said spoilers.
Okay.
This is the double spoiler part.
Okay.
If you don't want to know what the ending of the film is,
give us 3 or 4 minutes.
Yeah. So the ending of the film, first off, the police and human services are breaking in.
Police knock on the door. They walk in, and they're walking up the stairs, and they're like,
"You smell that?
Retard stank."
They're essentially breaking and entering because they don't have a search warrant, and then they're like,
"What's that smell?
You got that smell?
Retard stank." That's probably it. That probably is the greatest line of the movie.
That's the best line of the movie.
So anyways, they're coming after Dennis, and John is trying to find Dennis. He finds him in the basement, to where the grand reveal of the movie, David, you describe it.
And it is grand. The grand reveal of the movie is his brother, Dennis, sits up on stage as a ventriloquist with Lydia, with his hand up Lydia, who is hollowed out.
At this point, Lydia has been killed.
Lydia has been killed.
Oh man, that's the most disturbing scene of the whole movie.
Oh yeah,
we got to talk about
disturbing.
that first.
So John comes in, sees his brother Dennis on stage with his girlfriend Lydia sitting on his lap, and he's like, "Oh, this looks fun. You've prepared a show, like a vaudevillian show for me." And then so he sits down in a chair, and he comes to realize he's super glued to this chair. So the chair has been prepared with super glue. John is not going anywhere. And then Dennis proceeds to use dead Lydia as a puppet to narrate a story about how he was done wrong by his brother who made him retarded, with Lydia by moving his hand in Lydia's mouth, and you can see his fingers, and it's fucking upsetting.
Yeah.
It is not a pleasant thing to watch.
And then there's this whole cavalcade of macabre
he
puppets.
Tells the story of how he was burned, how he was changed
by John throwing him down the stairs.
And with all of the things he killed, and taxidermied. So now they're all puppets on a giant stage play that is truly macabre and horrendous. And he like builds a spider out of body parts. It is fucking upsetting.
Yeah, lots of stop motion. Genuinely creepy, and that part will stick with you.
Yeah, and it's good. Like, it's good stuff.
Yeah, and everyone. Okay, now let's segue into.
And we're done with spoilers. Spoilers for end is no, not quite done.
No.
Now we segue into Bryce Called It.
Okay, so what?
Okay.
For the first sequence of the movie, what did I call?
So about 10 minutes into the movie, for no apparent reason, with no real trigger here, there was not something that happened where Bryce, that would have triggered Bryce to me. Like, I didn't see why he would have said this. He says, "Oh, someone's going to commit suicide at the end of this movie." And I said, "What? Like, did you look this up or something like that?" And he's like, "No, this dude's a pretentious writer."
So what happens at the end of the movie?
At the end of the movie, after watching this horrendous, macabre stage play, John realizes everyone he knows and loves is dead and takes a gun out and kills himself in the chair.
Yeah, shoots himself in the head, commits suicide. I totally called it from the first scene. Just from the writing, it was so pretentious. I'm like, okay, someone this pretentious wants to be edgy, and the easiest way to be edgy is to have someone commit suicide at the end of the movie. That's exactly what happened.
It is.
I honestly thought it would have been Dennis, but it was his brother instead of, I don't know, being made into a puppet, I guess. So immediately after John commits suicide, Dennis is tackled by the police and taken into a mental institution.
Yeah.
And then it shows that Dennis is no longer his real prison is inside his own head, because the real Dennis is being trapped inside the body while the Legion is controlling him while, being in a mental institution. So it's very much like Get Out.
Yeah. The real prison is inside you.
I mean, it's really a toss-up whether this was better than Get Out or not.
No, it was not. No, it was not. Get Out was better. Don't listen to him.
Okay, so it was genuinely a very interesting movie,
and entertaining and funny.
Yeah, I looked up who the director was, because as I was watching it, the thought that came across my head was, this is a really good first movie for directors. This person has a unique point of view. I'm looking forward to see what else they make, because this was just released in 2017. Yeah. It's like, this guy could be big.
Oh yeah, if this is his first, then sky's the limit.
Come to find out, it's kind of a tragic story.
Yeah, it really is. It's not only is it tragic, but it's very interesting because of who he is.
So the director and writer is Andrew Getty,
John Paul Getty's grandson.
Yeah. So John Paul Getty was one of the richest people in the world in the 60s, and he was the subject matter. Right? Yeah, he was an oil tycoon. He was the subject matter of the recent film All the Money in the World, the movie where Kevin Spacey was ousted because he was coming on to underage boys, and then he was replaced by Christopher Plummer.
Right, that was last year, and so how it worked was like they shot the whole movie with Spacey, and then the allegations came out about him, and then they were like, well, we can't release this movie now, and they reshot everything with someone else.
Which is neither here nor there, but the plot of the movie revolved around John Paul Getty's grandson was kidnapped and ransomed, and John Paul Getty was like, I don't want to pay that much money. And so they cut off the grandson's ear and sent it back. He was like, meh. So John Paul Getty was a hardcore dude, and so that story's happening.
Asshole.
And Andrew Getty is that earless guy's cousin and another grandson of John Paul Getty.
Right.
And his father is worth billions of dollars just from inheritance and was a music composer. Anyways, Andrew Getty comes from money, and that explains why.
Not just money. You hear comes from money, and you think, we're talking like the most money. The most.
Yeah, new old money.
Yeah, we do not negotiate with... no, I'm not going to pay somebody who kidnaps my grandchild, because then everybody's just going to kidnap my grandchild. All my grandchildren are be gone. I could cut my losses with this one and have the rest of them, because everybody's going to know I'm not going to pay ransom on them.
So this movie was actually filmed mostly in 2005.
What?
Yeah, it was a long time ago, and Andrew Getty had been absolutely just going over and over again over the editing, being a perfectionist for like a decade.
Wow.
And then he died tragically in 2015.
Yeah.
From complications related to methamphetamines. Like, he had like an ulcer, just basically bled out internally in his intestines.
Yeah, he's like, hey, oh man, I'm not fit. He told like his housekeeper or something like that. He's like, boy, man, just not feeling it today. And like 2 days later, he died of bleeding out an ulcer in his intestine.
Right.
Like, whoo, like so.
Yeah, that's rough.
Heavy drinking and amphetamine use.
And so he died before the movie could be finished, and someone else finished the editing and released it last year.
Yeah. Yeah.
So, I mean, that in itself would make a really interesting movie.
Right. Yeah. No, so this is an interesting movie, genuinely, in a lot of different ways. And you could make a very interesting movie about the maker of this movie, a la The Room and The Disaster Artist.
Yeah.
Which,
yeah. I mean, there was points in this movie, like that coffee shop sequence, that it made me think of The Room.
Yeah.
Of just,
Oh, yeah.
There's a lot of arbitrary lines and kind of non sequiturs, and just saying, this is the plot now. This is what I'm feeling because I just said it right now, and this is what's going on. Even though it has no relation to anything.
And there's
that
so
happened
many,
before.
and it's kind of cobbled together. Like there's a bunch of just inane weird stuff that like pops in. Like they have a giant, like a real giant. A person with gigantism in the extreme.
Yeah.
Like the largest man you've ever seen ever. And he's just in a part of the movie. And it's interesting because, wow, look how big that guy is.
Yeah.
And listen to him talk. And I think I've seen him from somewhere else, but I can't recall where. And, okay, and now he's gone.
Yeah.
And there's that kind of stuff just popping in all over the place. It's just like, oh, hey, full frontal nudity. Look. Full frontal nudity in this movie. And then
she turns into
an upside down spider. And it's like, whoa. And then that's done. It's a bunch of very interesting stuff that's kind of cobbled together and held together like loosely with funny, bad writing.
Yeah, and just a lot of things visually interesting. Visually, this movie was great.
Yeah.
Like the camera shots, the movements of the camera, lots of fun stuff with reflections.
Him talking to the mirror was great. Like at first I was like, this is going to be corny and played out, but it ended up being interesting the whole way through.
He did it really good. The acting was really good. Had some people you might recognize. The brother. My first observation
John.
was this guy sounds exactly like Nathan Fillion.
Yeah,
Just generic
and looks.
Yeah,
kind of
generic sounding lead male voice. Just that was the first takeaway. Looked up his IMDb, and he was Powder.
Yeah,
he was Powder, and he played the young Indiana Jones on a bunch of stuff.
Which, he looks. Yeah, he looks. Well, he is the young.
And he was the main character, one of the main characters in Boondock Saints.
Was he?
Yeah.
Huh.
He was in Boondock Saints 1 and 2.
That movie gets so much play, like, from so many people,
yeah.
and I've seen it one time, and I was like, even when I saw it, I was a teenager, like, the perfect audience for that, and I was like, it's just kind of like, yeah, that was kind of cool.
Yeah. And then Lydia, his girlfriend, is Dina Meyer, which you'd recognize from Starship Troopers. And Beverly Hills 90210. I know David was a big fan.
No, I was not. I don't know what you're talking about. This is real lies.
Yeah, the acting was really good. It's a really good movie. I would definitely recommend it, even if it's an average movie. It's free streaming on Amazon Prime. So if you have an Amazon Prime membership, it's free to stream. Check it out. Even if you want to fast forward to the parts with John and Lydia, just to get to the interesting horror sequences with the stop motion and the special effects, which is genuinely disturbing and interesting.
Yeah. We got taglines.
Oh, yeah, we got taglines. Let's do taglines.
I love these intros. They're really,
Yeah.
they're just very well thought out.
Uh-huh.
They're well executed.
Yeah.
I mean, there's some depth there.
Yeah.
Okay, so this is a segment where we kind of create a couple of funny taglines that could be the tagline for the movie. And this one we had to tread lightly because we don't.
Did we tread lightly?
We didn't tread very lightly, but it could have been a lot worse. Let's be very honest.
Right.
Because
these are the ones that we didn't throw out.
I don't know that we do have an audience base, but if we do, it's small. And we could cut off 20% of our audience by offending them with jokes about retarded people.
Yeah, we're
But-
trying to be funny.
Let's be very clear. This movie handles mental problems in the same way that we're throwing these taglines out, if not much more brutally, and it does a good job of it without it being upsetting. So,
You think I'm retarded?
I've already told you, Dennis, I like you.
You smell that?
Retard stank.
Anyways, so taglines.
Here's a tagline. The evil within. When killing animals is the best way to prove your intelligence.
The evil within. Horror just went full retard.
Lieutenant Dan, ice cream, Lieutenant Dan.
The evil within. Evil just got retard strength.
The new face of evil is drooling.
The evil within. Horror doesn't need no 50-cent words.
And I was told I'm on my own with this one. Night of the Mongoloid. He refers to himself as a Mongoloid in this movie, just FYI.
Yeah. So those are our taglines. Unfortunately, we can't get him to Andrew Getty anymore because he's no longer
That's a really
alive.
sad story about Andrew Getty.
Yeah. I genuinely would like to see more stuff from him.
Me too.
And it feels like he probably got sucked into addiction, and that's what kept him from finishing the movie. Because
it really talks to...
the more I looked through the movie, like when I was pulling clips and stuff, it was actually really competent in how he set up stuff. And there was some stuff teed up at the beginning, like the cadaver unzipping him and crawling into his body sets up the whole puppetry stuff at the end. There's a scene in the middle where they go to a Chuck E. Cheese type place, and he's like, "How does that work?" And they describe how these animatronics work, and that's tied into the end of the movie. It's like, it's not. He knew what he was doing, and he had a vision, and he pulled it off.
Yeah,
for the most part.
And it's sad that he didn't get to, not only see how it was received, but make more.
Rip Andrew Getty.
Yeah, rip. So with that, please check us out on our website, horrormovietalk.com. Like us on Facebook, subscribe on YouTube, Twitter, Instagram, iTunes, Google Play, Google Podcast, Stitcher, all the places where you go to find your podcasts. Check us out. We also got a blog that we'll be contributing to regularly. And I just made one about how slashers kind of killed horror for a long time, and now horror's good horror's coming back.
Yes, check it out. The website is the hub for all of our social media, all of the episodes, and all the links to subscribe our blog. So go to horrormovietalk.com.
And thank you so much.
Thank you for listening, and we'll see you next time.
We love you.
Love you. Bye. Bye.